Thanksgiving is canceled. The Redskins lose to the Cowboys 34-26. Yes, I said Redskins because is it the same old skins? Let's hear all the ranting and raving right here on our instant reaction on Ref the District. Let's go.
Yeah, it's Ref the District. Come on now and join us.
Let's go.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Ref the District's instant reaction of the Washington Commanders losing to the Dallas Cowboys in what was an absolutely wild, crazy, ridiculous fourth quarter. There's so much to rant and rave about, so much to talk about, and we'll do so here. Got to hear from everybody, so make sure you get your comments in. This instant reaction is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Oh my goodness. Do we have a lot to talk about, and we have got to hear from you. I am the Stoner. Both Nathan and Trev sick, not going to be able to make it, so you're going to get unfiltered right here. You're going to get all the ranting and raving and nobody to check me. That's right. I get to say it all with nobody being able to check me except for you all. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We appreciate everybody popping in here and everybody who is a supporter of Ref the District, the channel. We appreciate everybody. I know there's going to be a ton of y'all, and there's going to be so much to talk about. We're going to try and get through everybody. We've already got so many people in here, Trey and TJ and Mike Lee and JS Wyman and Daniel. Paul's here, JC, Uptown Dre's here, JG, Timothy's in here. Bry's Tube is in here. Mark Gamer's in here. So we're going to get Brian and Sarah here. So we're going to get to everybody's comments. But, man, I don't even know if we could talk about just the fourth quarter for like the next hour or so, because that was some of the craziest football I've seen in quite some time. But we have to talk about the whole thing. Early in the game, it was all about our special teams and how great they were. And then our special teams in the end lets us down in a bunch of different ways. And so we've got to talk about all of that. But let's get to some of what happened at the beginning of the game. There are a couple things. Look, I got a bunch of notes here because, I take notes all the time during these games. A couple of the things that were maybe interesting only to me before this game got started. Some of the inactives in there. Manuel Forbes, of course, again, is inactive. He's probably going to be the guy who gets cut when Marshawn Lattimore comes back. And by the way, if Marshawn Lattimore is here, I don't know, it makes a difference, at least in this particular game. The gold pants. Did y'all like the gold pants? That's the second time this season, I think. A lot of people don't like them. I don't mind. RG3 being the legend of the game. I don't know. Did you like RG3 as the legend of the game? We might get carried away a little bit with legend, right? He's not necessarily a legend, but man, that one season in 2012 was pretty awesome. But those are just some early thoughts. We've got to talk about this game, what happened right from the start. What is going on, first of all we heard all week is that this team needed reps. They needed some rest. They needed some time to get their timing down, and they got all of that. They needed to play a bad defense. They needed Jaden to get healthy. They needed B-Rob to get healthy, the offensive line to get healthy. All of that came into fruition by the time this game got underway, and they're playing a bad team that had lost 5 games in a row. They didn't have their quarterback. They didn't have their 3 of their offensive linemen. They didn't have their best defensive linemen. They didn't have their best cornerback. All of that was working against Dallas. They had the 31st ranked defense against the run, the 31st ranked defense against in points allowed. All of these things were working against Dallas, and Dallas came into Washington, and from the jump, beat the Commanders' butt at the line of scrimmage right from the very start of the game. They moved right down the field on their first drive, and if not for a great play by Quan Martin to go in and block that field goal, they would have set the tempo, set the tone for the game, and been up 3-0, and Washington would have been chasing their tail, chasing the Cowboys' tail the entire game. So that's kind of what happened at the beginning. There's not a whole lot to talk about in the first half, so we're not going to kind of rehash too much of it, maybe just a few notes. B-Rob getting hurt, got his ankle rolled in the very first offensive play. That obviously affected him for the rest of the game. Came in a little bit later for one series, couldn't play the rest of the game. Affects the Washington's ability to run the ball. Let's see. Jaden didn't look good in the first half, especially. That was a little bit crazy to me because, again, they talked about the timing. They talked about the time off. They talked about getting healthy, all of that. And he looked terrible in the entire first half. In the first quarter, he was 2 of 6 for 3 yards against that terrible Dallas defense. 2 of 6 for 3 yards. Cooper Rush during that same time was 7 of 9 for 67 yards. But look, it was still 3-0 Washington at that point. So you're losing time of possession. You're losing the total yards. Your offense looks terrible. Your special teams is doing well. They're blocking kicks. So you're up 3-0. So you got to feel good about that. You get to the second quarter, and Luvu's flying all over the place, right? Luvu's the player of the year, defensive player of the year type in that first half. He had 3 knockdowns of passes in that first half, 2 in 1 drive. So you really thought, well, here goes this defense is looking like they're going to be able to do what they need to do. Keep them comments coming. Keep them coming. We're going to get to them, but keep them coming. Love it. Love seeing all that. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Love all those comments. But at the end of that first half, what happened with the offense in terms of Jaden Daniels went 3 consecutive times, dropbacks, and then he took off running and went out of bounds and kept stopping the clock, which would be good if you're moving down the field, but he wasn't really moving down the field. I think maybe 2 of those turned out to be sacks because he didn't get back to the line of scrimmage. But he stops the clock and gives Dallas enough time when they get the ball. They make a couple of plays. They get a roughing the passer. They get a big throw down the sideline where St. Juice, I don't know, I can't defend the kid anymore. Turn your head around. You see the guy is trying to look the ball in, turn your head around and knock it down. Knock it down. St. Juice, please. But they get into field goal range, and, of course, Aubrey kicks the field goal, and it's 3-3 going into halftime. And you're looking at it going, what's going on here? Daniels was 9 of 16 for 57 yards. He had the interception where B-Rob bobbled it right into the hands of the defender. Probably should have just thrown that ball down. But look, if that defender doesn't come all the way across from the other side of the field, he's got to play there. But he makes a play, and that's an interception. He was sacked 3 times. He had a rating of 37.8. I believe the pass-to-run ratio was something like 19 to 11, 19 passes to 11 runs on a defense that has the 31st ranked defense, run defense, giving up 150 yards per game. And they had 19 passes in that first half. Not ideal. Not ideal. A bunch of drops were going on. I see people were done. Ertz's fumble. Not Ertz. John Bates fumble as we get into the second half. So you had that particular issue. The Commanders, especially in the first half, getting into the second half, all these field positions that they were kept getting because of the blocked punt, because of the blocked field goal, because of the fumble recovery, because of the punts, the shorter punts, or Tress Way pushing them deep and then getting good field position. The second half, they started at the 40-yard line because their kicker couldn't kick it into the landing zone. And so So they have all of these opportunities. And finally, what did they do on that touchdown drive in the third quarter? On 10 plays, 8 of them were runs. 8 of them were runs and 2 passes. And then you had that great block by Sinnott that got Jaden Daniels on the edge for a 17-yard run. If they would just run Jaden Daniels a little bit more on those RPOs, I don't know that there was an unsuccessful RPO in this particular game from Jaden Daniels. They were all successful. They didn't run them enough. I didn't think so. Noah Igbenogany had 2 pass interference calls, one of them down by the goal line that allowed Dallas to score a touchdown. The first 30 passes, first 30 dropbacks for Cooper Rush, 0 pressures by Washington's defense. And after I went to that Giants game and I watched that game up close in New York, and I said, Lattimore's a good pickup. That's great. Dante Fowler has 8.5 sacks, whatever he's got right now. But their number one concern is they can't get anybody off the edge to put pressure on that quarterback. Look what Micah Parsons was doing this entire game. He was all over the place, and he was causing Jaden Daniels to do things that Jaden Daniels did not want to do because of that pass rush. Keep them comments coming. Keep them coming. I'm telling you, we're going to get to them as we get through the end of talking about this game. Right? So by the end of the fourth quarter, Dallas, how about the attempted field goal for Washington when this is probably back in the first half, so my mistake. But it was 4th and 2 at the 34-yard line, and Washington went for a field goal at the 34-yard line. Did I say that? 4th and 2 at the 34-yard line, and they decided they had 3rd and 2, and they dropped Jaden Daniels back to pass. And it was incomplete to Noah Brown, who I believe should have caught it. I didn't like that. Where's this aggressiveness gone? Where did that aggressiveness go? Right? You gotta go for that. 3rd and 2 from their 34-yard line. And you drop back to pass, and then you kick a field goal. Didn't like that at all. So now you get to the end of the third quarter. Dallas is up 10-9. Jaden Daniels is 12 of 22 for 80 yards and 1 interception. The time of possession was 25.5 minutes to 19.5 minutes in Dallas's favor. Then you get to the crazy fourth quarter. I don't even know how we're going to get through all of this fourth quarter. So much happened. Even in the time where I had given up on the game, so much happened. This happened against Chicago, too, when they did the Hail Mary. I gave up before that Hail Mary. I was already over here turning all the computer and all that stuff on to get ready for this instant reaction. Hit that like button. And I was doing the same thing in this game. And then all of a sudden I look up, and there's that throw to Terry McLaurin down the sideline. And he ends up scoring the touchdown. But before that, they moved the ball down the field, throwing down the middle, throwing some nice passes. Yes, the Cowboys were probably playing a little bit soft because they didn't want some instant big plays. Look what happens when you play soft defense. And Washington moved the ball right down the field, scored the touchdown to Ertz. And then what happens on that kickoff? And I swear I watched the kickoff yesterday in college. I can't remember what game it was, but I watched the kickoff where almost the exact same thing happened. The kick returner drops the ball and then picks it up and runs it all the way back. And I kept thinking to myself, is it just me, or is it every time a kick returner drops the ball, they get a huge return? It messes up the timing. It messes up people's lane integrity when they're heading down on those kickoffs. Something like that. And of course, Turpin, you're not going to catch that dude once he gets into the open field, especially when your kicker is got a bad hip. Not bad enough to keep him out of the game. Too bad. But bad enough to where he's not catching Turpin. I mean, no kicker's catching Turpin. He returns, and then you're back to like this. And you're back to like, what is going on here? And then the Terry play happens. And I'm losing my mind, screaming and yelling. Right? Waking up the neighbors. We got birds flying out because it's so loud. And then Austin Seibert misses the extra point. I couldn't effing believe it. How does the dude miss that extra point? Now, it was a bad snap. Was it not a bad snap? It was a bad snap. And he misses the extra point. And then you try and do the onside kick for the second time, and they run the onside kick right back. And you're going, what is going on? Which he shouldn't have done, right? We look back on that. Of course, he should have stopped in the field of play because Washington can't get the ball back if he does that. But, he's all excited. I don't blame the kid, right? But that gives Washington an opportunity to throw another Hail Mary. God bless him. Jaden Daniels threw that ball as far as he could, some 60 some odd yards down there. And it's not going to happen twice. And, of course, it's intercepted. And that was some kind of craziness. So, by the end of the game, Jaden Daniels ended up finishing up a very respectable 25 for 38 for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But he was sacked 4 times. He didn't run the ball 7 for 74 times and another touchdown. So, statistically, he looked really good. But they didn't run the ball enough. They had to throw the ball 38 times and only run the ball 25 times. But that 38 attempts, you add in also the 4 sacks, that's 42 dropbacks. And I believe at least 2 of those runs that Jaden Daniels had were scrambles for yards gained. So really you had 44 pass attempts and 23 rushing attempts against the 31st ranked rush defense in the Dallas Cowboys. Terry finished with 5 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown. Of course, that 86-yarder, which, by the way, is the first time all season that a Washington receiver has caught the ball in the field of play and run it into the end zone. All the other touchdowns for Jaden Daniels were caught in the end zone. The receiver was in the end zone, which is a crazy stat. Now, getting to the special teams. The special teams at the beginning of the game was being hailed as the greatest special teams unit in the history of football, right? You had the blocked kick. You had the blocked punt. You had Tressway kicking them deep into their own zone. And then, of course, you had at the end where you let Turpin run it all the way down. You had 2 missed extra points and a missed field goal by Austin Seibert. He missed 3 kicks. You let the guy run it all the way back. Then they had another special teams touchdown on the attempted onside kick, which neither of those kicks were very, very good. Look, it's difficult to get onside kicks nowadays. But in the end, it's a 34-26 victory. This is my question. This is where we're going to start going back and forth with everybody who is here. Again, if you are here, hit that like button. What I want to know is this. As I said in the opening, if you caught that in the very opening, is this the same old Skins? They started off 6-2, and they're now sitting at 7-5. So since the 6-2 start, they are 1-3, and they're close to falling out of the playoff race if they aren't already. Is this the same old Skins? There's an answer right there. We got a yes. Don says, no, it is not the same old Skins. I do want to know. Herb says this is giving him the 08 vibes. Of course, that's the team the last time they started off 6-2. Look, everybody, and I can't even say this. I can't stress this enough. Everybody thought Washington was going to win this game. On our channel, it was 95%. All of us picked Washington. Every pundit out there picked Washington. So this is surprising, I think, to everybody. But let's see what we got here. J.S. Wyman says, no, it is not the same thing. Nelman over on Facebook, thanks for joining us from there. If you're over there on Facebook, make sure you hit the like there. This is the same team we saw for the last years. That to me says same old Skins. Gregory says it's close. It's close to the same old Skins. Joel saying no. Joel, by the way, congratulations on that $200 gift certificate to Fanatics. We'll take care of that this week for Thanksgiving. Although Thanksgiving's been canceled. I don't know if you heard that. Thanksgiving's been canceled. We can't go into this whole week feeling so terrible about this game and then be all happy on Thanksgiving, especially when the Cowboys are playing on Thanksgiving. Polo Style says, look, we're gonna find out against the Titans. I don't know. Let me know what the Titans did today, because I'm not sure what they did today. Potato RU12, he said no, because Siebert might mess this game up and the O-line can't block for run plays. Well, I mean, 6-2 to 7-5. Robert is saying it is this one's on Cliff. We're going to get to that as well. We're going to talk about this whole Cliff deal. Arsa's Kitori saying we're going to end 9-7. You need one more game there. Do we get a win or not? That's 16 games. We need 17. Is it going to be 10-7 or 9-8? Let's see what else we got here. TJ's saying, yeah, same old Skins. This is what the Skins have done to us in the past. This is what they do to us. They get us excited, and then they kill us with these ridiculousness. Look what Tampa did to the Giants today. The Giants, with all of their craziness that's going on, look what happened. They just pounded them like you're supposed to do to a bad team that's in turmoil. That's what Washington was supposed to do. Tabletop says, I don't think so. JG says no, because they're finding new ways to lose. Well, true, but it's still ways that they're losing that they should be winning. This is a game that you absolutely should have won. Everybody in the world. Coach Big Gibbs says it sure feels that way. Philly says, can I get a hell yeah? Let's see. Yes. Same old Skins. We lost to an S team today. I get it. Let's see. Rusty says no, but it's a poor job by everyone in the building. Come off a week off, a couple extra days off, not a whole week off. They had a couple extra days off because of the Thursday game from the prior week. So not so much there, but that was a question I wanted to throw out to you. Pole Style says it's just a slump. Tough teams, as Paul says, division games. Yeah, I mean, division games, you just never can tell what's going to help in these, what's going to happen in these division games. Captain Obvious, thanks so much. Let's see if I got that sound. See if I got that. Let me just give the old applause sound there for you. I appreciate that $5 super chat. You too can donate on the super chat there, and we'll absolutely be checking out what you have to say. This is year one of a rebuild. Our GM needs another draft, and we have the right coaches. We're still ahead of schedule. I agree with that, Captain Obvious. We are ahead of schedule, but what this team did is they said, look, we're better than we thought we were. Jaden Daniels is further along than I thought we were. We're going for it. And that's why they did the Marshawn Lattimore trade. Now, the Marshawn Lattimore trade, by the way, is not a trade just for this year. It's a trade for 2 additional years down the road. He's under contract for 2 more years. The cornerback draft, the cornerback depth in this upcoming draft is not good. So they didn't really see that there was a cornerback that they could get in the 20s, which is where they're going to be picking somewhere. And so they said, well, let's go get him for a 3rd rounder, right? And have somebody under contract. So, yeah, they are ahead of schedule at 7-5. Big picture, they're 7-5. They are ahead of schedule. But you can't take away what you're looking at in week to week. And what happened this week with a terrible Dallas Cowboys team on a 5-game losing streak. And that should have been a win, obviously. So, yeah, they are definitely ahead of schedule, but it still absolutely hurts for something like this to happen. Now, my overall notes that I want to get to. I think I already mentioned the field position, right? The field position was crazy in terms of how good a field position Washington was getting this entire game and not being able to take advantage of it. 1 field goal, a missed field goal, just poor execution on the offense, and that came back to bite them. A lot of drops, A lot of drops by, I don't have the number in front of me, but there were a lot of drops by these guys. Again, that fumble by Bates was just brutal when you hope to be getting back into it. And then third down conversions. Washington was 4 of 12, 33%. You can't do that. You can't do that. I don't care how bad the other team is on the other side. When it's all said and done and you look at the totals, the numbers are pretty even across the board. Washington ended up with more yards, mostly because of that mini Hail Mary to Terry. But they ended up with 412 total yards and 19 first downs to 19 first downs. Rushing, Washington ended up rushing for 145 yards. Dallas got 91. Those are almost on the averages on both sides. So that's the way that turned out. But look at this. One, the penalties. Washington had 8 penalties for 78 yards. Dallas had 4 for 20. They had 4 penalties, and they're all 5-yarders. Washington had a couple pass interferences. They had a roughing the passer on Bobby Wagner. And they got 0 pressure on Cooper Rush. I think they got credited for a sack there at the end when Dallas was trying to run out the clock, but they couldn't get any pressure. And Cooper Rush is just standing back there. Even the most basic quarterbacks in this league can complete passes when you don't have any rush. Right? There's the pun there. When you don't have any Cooper Rush. Ridiculous. And the time of possession, 35 minutes to 25 minutes. They held on to the ball. They were making those nice short passes. They dominated the line of scrimmage on the offensive side. Were they able to rush a decent amount, 91 yards? And on the defensive side, they were getting to Jaden Daniels with those 4 sacks and those pressures. I mean, he was under pressure quite a bit because they kept bringing so much pressure. Washington was bringing some pressure, but they couldn't get to him against 3 backups on their offensive line. Crazy. Let's see. And then we've got to start asking that question now. And so here it is. Here's the question. And I know everybody's been talking about it this whole time, and I just haven't been able to get to everybody. But where does the blame lie with this offense? Sure, they scored 26 points, but you saw the offense. Use the eye test. You saw how bad this offense was for 90% of the game, except for maybe 2 drives. One of those drives was when the other team was playing that soft defense. They had 1 good drive this whole game that counts for something. It was in the third quarter when they scored their touchdown to take a 9-3 lead before the Seibert missed the extra point. What's going on with this offense? We always go to the whole blame pie thing. Are the defenses figuring out Jaden Daniels? Maybe Jaden Daniels isn't as good as we thought he was. That's part of it. Let me know. Maybe he's still feeling it from those ribs a little bit. I tend to not go that way anymore. It's over. He's not injured anymore. He's not hurt, I should say. Are they figuring out Cliff Kingsbury? Are the injuries piling up too much when you had, listen to all these guys who left the game. Your center, Tyler Biotish, he left the game with a concussion. Your right tackle, Andrew Wiley, he left the game with a concussion. B-Rob, your starting running back, he left the game with his ankle. Came back, then had to leave for the rest of the game. Is that your issues? Is it injuries? Is it poor execution? Is it receivers who can't separate? You see some of those passes like to Noah Brown that he couldn't quite hold on to. It was a great throw, but there's a dude all over him. Couldn't separate. Is it the defense? The defense held up for most of the game, but man, that one drive where they had to have it and they threw it right to the tight end, right? Who's wide open, got an easy touchdown. Where does the blame pie go from? Let me fix something here real quick. Had to get rid of some of that. So where does the blame pie go to right now? Here's what Chance with Collectibles says. Not enough talent around JD5 to let him succeed. I mean, there was enough talent early in the season, what everybody was doing. B-Rob was almost double-digit touchdowns. Not quite there, but you know what I mean. Getting into the end zone every week, it seemed like. Terry was playing really well. Noah Brown was coming out of nowhere, right? Eckler was making some great plays. And by the way, that Eckler injury, might not see him until the last game of the year. That on that kickoff return, that was a helmet to helmet. So it could be that there's not enough talent going around. Let's see. And also not having a true number 2 to pair with Terry. That's O-line can't block for passes and runs. I mean, that's talent. That's the same thing that Chance with Collectibles was saying. EE is saying the main reason we lost was the kicker, Seibert, and his weak leg. So he missed. He did hit a 50-yarder, right? Barely. He had the 2 missed extra points, the one at the end, which, I mean, crazy that happened, and the missed field goal. And you're right, he kicked it in not deep enough, and Turpin was able to return it. It was bound to happen at some point. Their plan is to kick the ball into the field of play, because if you don't, then the other team gets the ball at the 30, and they feel that this special teams can keep them before the 30-yard line. And probably wasn't a good plan at that point in the game, and when they kicked it to Turpin in the field of play. Let's see. Roger says Kingsbury's offense is garbage. I told y'all long ago. But again, it was not garbage at the beginning of the year. It wasn't garbage, right? They were on historic paces. Everything that they were doing offensively hadn't been done before. We never saw a Tress way. The points per possession was on record pace in the history of the NFL. So it wasn't at the beginning, but maybe it's catching up with them. Drew Fletcher says special teams 2, gave up 2 TDs and missed 2 extra points and a missed field goal. So, that's a lot of points on the special teams. And again, at the beginning of the game, we're talking about all the special teams heroics with the blocked punt and the blocked field goal. I think I saw the stat on the TV. It was first 3 possessions for Dallas were blocked field goal, blocked punt, and missed field goal. First time in NFL history that those 3 things happened consecutively to a team to start the game. That was crazy. But then at the end of the game, obviously, special teams was a disaster, especially Austin Seibert. Whew. Tabletop says, got too complacent with early success. We were pressing to compete earlier in the year on offense being aggressive, but they let the accolades get to their heads. Well, they had lost 2 in a row, and they lost the 2 in a row. Could have been 3 out of 4 if not for that Hail Mary. So they lost 2 in a row, and they were coming off a mini bye. They shouldn't have been in their heads at that point. Jay says the blame pie. Jaden gets 10%, Cliff 40%, Siebert 40%, Quinn not going for 10%. Let's talk about that for a second too. Let's see if anybody else wants to chime in on the blame pie. Paul says lack of talent. Let's see. All of the above. George says that was the most painful loss of the season. So it looks like the theme here is you just don't have the players yet. I guess I've got an agenda. I don't know what that agenda is, Jim, but I probably do. C-Rod's going to save the season. All right, right. No, I'm asking the question. And then I'm giving my opinion on what some of y'all are saying. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about this right here. Why didn't we go for 2 right there instead of chancing it with a kicker who was sometimes at best this game? Right? Why should they have gone for 2 after that amazing play to Terry McLaurin down the side? I don't know what Dallas was doing in that play. But they tackle him in the field of play, ball game. Because Washington's going to struggle to get all the way down there and spike the ball. No timeouts. All they got to do is tackle him. 86 yards. Should they have gone for 2? Should they have gone for 2 after that touchdown to make it 27-26 Dallas? Should they have gone for 2? I think, this is just me on this particular one, thinking about it, I think I probably kicked the extra point. It's really easy to kind of look back on it and say maybe they should have gone for 2 because they missed the extra point. But if they had hit the extra point and we would have gone to overtime and would kind of see how that played out, it would have been a different story. But they didn't, and now everybody's questioning about going for 2. All right, let's kind of walk through both sides of the ball. We've already talked mostly about the special teams. As great as they were in that first half with that blocked kick and blocked punt, they get an F for this game because of what happened at the end of the game. And we see, got to block somebody else here. We see at the end of the game, those extra points were so crucial because if you think about the extra points at the end of the game, if he had made the one earlier, the extra point at the end of the game would have been to win the game, not tie the game. But he missed 2 extra points, and he missed a field goal, and he kicked it to Turpin, and they allowed the return, obviously, on the kick return. Unbelievable. So they don't get a very good grade, right? Defensively, I thought they were pretty strong for most of the game, but you can't let any quarterback just stand back there and just pick apart the defense, which is what Cooper Rush was doing. He had all day back there. He had all day to be able to find receivers. And CeeDee Lamb's going to get open. CeeDee Lamb, what did CeeDee Lamb finish with? He finished with 10 catches for only 67 yards, but 10 catches, what does that do? Keeps drives going. Keeps the ball in the offense's hands. So defensively, I thought they were pretty good most of the game, not great. But then at that last drive, obviously, you had the 2 pass interference penalties on Igbenogany, and then you had the big play on St. Juste. But, of course, Frankie Louvu was everywhere. He was great in this game. Offensively, that first half was painful, and they were terrible in that first half offensively. And then, but other than that, I mean, in the second half, they started putting things together a little bit. They had the really nice drive. Then they had the kind of the easy drive where Dallas was playing a little too soft. I don't know why they do that. Jaden just picked them apart. And then you had that crazy 86-yard touchdown. And then here we are. See, there's a lot of Cowboys fans in here who are trolling. James, I'm going to have to put you put you in a little bit of what we call a timeout. You're in a timeout there, James, because you're saying some things that just aren't cool. So, but appreciate you stopping by. You can definitely still keep watching and everything. But that's for you all to, you won't have to deal with James too much. But, you know, Cowboys fans are welcome here. Just keep it cool, right? All right. So let's do this. We are going to talk about, our Go-Gos and No-Gos. So let's talk about that right now. First, we're going to go with our no-gos, right? Our no-gos are obviously the ones who didn't play. So I want to hear what everybody's no-go is. I see your comment there, Nelman, about those 3 drives, 3 yards on each drive. I mean, ridiculous. So let's get everybody who wants to give the no-gos for this game. I mean, there's kind of a lot to go around. If you want to do Coach Dan Quinn for his decision to not go for 2 there, If you want to give it to Jaden Daniels for not playing very well, if you want to give it to maybe if you want to give it to Cliff Kingsbury for not having him ready, whatever you want. My no-go is obvious, right? Let's go with my no-go is good old Austin Seibert. You can't miss those extra points. You can't miss a field goal. You can't do it, man. You just can't do it. Let's see. JD5 and Seibert are no-goes, says JG. And then Polo Style says Cliff and the kicker. Drew's given one to Bates. Yeah, I mean, that fumble was brutal for sure. Good shout out, Matt. Let me give that a little clap right there to Matt for the $19.99 super chat. Appreciate you very much. And this is your comment there. Embarrassing today, but as always, appreciate all you guys do. We appreciate you, Matt. We appreciate everybody who's here. Make sure you all get your hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you all popping in here. And then also Captain Obvious, his no-go, the run defense. I mean, look, they only ended up with 91 yards in rushing, but for a team, for offensively, they were averaging only 81 yards a game, which is 31st in the league. So they got a little bit above their average, but you're right, Captain Obvious. You're right, because they were unable to kind of just clamp down that run game. There was Dowdle was able to get some plays in there and keep some drives alive. And you would think that a team who's that bad at running the ball would not be able to run it as effectively as they did. And that was crazy. Appreciate you, Captain Obvious there as well. Do this. Let's see. Some more that we have here. George says the wide receivers. No-goes. A few drops there. And, of course, the Bates, the fumble as well. That certainly didn't help. Matt says his no-go is Kingsbury. Polo's saying, hey, why is the rookie tight end not playing? He plays a lot, but he's not a part of their passing offense. You saw on that Jaden Daniels run, he just pancaked a dude. Without that block, Jaden Daniels doesn't get in. So he playing, but maybe not as in the offensive game plan as much. Drew says Larry Izzo, who's the special teams coach. He's got to get some of that. And then Patriot Clip says Jaden's dance. Was it because they were behind, or you just didn't like the dance in general? All right, let's get to the get this back up here. Sorry, I'm getting it right here. Back to the Go-Gos and No-Gos again. Let's go to the positive side. Let's go to the Go-Gos. I mean, look, Studio James is saying right there, I'm proud of my team 7-5. We got this. I mean, it's 3 losses in a row, so we're a little bit worried, right? Or is it 3 out of 4? Sorry. I always forgetting. But anyway, they're 7-5 right now. You're going to have to remind me because my head's swimming with all this information right now. I mean, I predict Washington to win 28-16. Trev had it 38-17. Nathan had it 32-14. Nobody thought that they could come in and Dallas could come in and win this game. Nelman's go-go is the defense. I mean, the defense was really good there for quite a while. Jesse's a great point. Great point, Jesse. Go-Go's not giving up. Even after that kick return, still didn't give up. Still didn't give up. That's a mark of a team that's going to fight to the end. Let me get this one in. Luvu's definitely a go-go. I mean, he was all over the place in the first half, especially for sure. Tressway and Luvu says George. Captain Obvious says Jaden to Terry touchdown. That was good. It was quite the play there at the end. I think my go-go for this game would probably be Luvu because of how dominant he was in that first half. There was some fight there for sure. So liked to see that with Frankie Luvu in the first half. They scored 24 points. Dallas did in the fourth quarter. So they had 10 points going into the fourth quarter. And so that made it quite the difficult task to give up 24 fourth quarter points. Of course, a couple of those touchdowns were on the special team. So let's wrap this up and talk about who our Don't Sleep Energy player of the game is. Don't Sleep Energy is a local company. It's a DMV company. You see them on both sides of me right here. I've got the Don't Sleep over on this side, and then I've got, the Don't Sleep over here got knocked down. Probably one of the Rally Cats. That's the shot right there. But hey, Don't Sleep Energy is a local company. They're great friends of the show. We appreciate them very much. It's the best energy drink on the market, so make sure you check them out. Go to don'tsleepenergy.com. They've got a new website. They've got new merch in there, and of course, they've got the energy drinks and the shots like this over here. Make sure you head over there. Use the code DISTRICT and get 10% off. Don't Sleep makes you great. All right, my Don't Sleep Energy player of the game. I can't use Frankie Louvu since he was my go-go, but so my Don't Sleep Energy player of the game is going to be Jeremy Chin. But Jeremy Chin, again, was all over the place, and he had that hit there on their tight end or their receiver where he fumbled the ball. Dan Quinn challenged it because they called it an incomplete pass. I thought it was a good challenge, but they did not reverse the call, and they kept it as an incomplete pass. So I'm gonna give Jeremy Chin as my Don't Sleep Energy player of the game. Looking ahead, what do they got the next couple of weeks? You've got Tennessee next week at home. Somebody reminded me what Tennessee did in this game this week. I'm going to go and look right now, see what Tennessee did. I know y'all told me, but I just want to see real quick. Tennessee Titans are next week against Washington. They beat Houston in Houston today. They were 2-8 going into that game, right? 2-8 Tennessee went into Houston and beat the Texans today. And that's who Washington has got to play next week. They're not losing to a guy who puts mayonnaise in his coffee. That's next week. And then they've got their much-needed bye week after that. They come off of the bye week. They got to go to New Orleans. And then you got the big one, the rematch against the Eagles right here in Washington. Depending on what happens in the next few weeks, that could be for the NFC East division. So it's a big next few weeks for Washington. They have to go into next week against Tennessee, not take them lightly. Obviously, they saw what just happened to themselves, and they saw what Tennessee did to Houston. Can't take them lightly, and then they can't be looking forward to the break, the bye week, the following week, and then it's the home stretch. Only 4 games after the bye week, right? You've got New Orleans at home, Philadelphia at home, Atlanta on the road, and then these freaking Cowboys on the road again. So that's what's going on in the next few weeks for the Washington Commanders. Again, appreciate everybody who has jumped in here. We've got a whole lot to talk about as the week goes on. Next on Wednesday, don't forget, we'll be live. We'll be looking towards that Tennessee game, but we'll be looking back at this game as well and what the heck just happened, what the heck happened in the fourth quarter. Make sure you all join us. Follow our channel. We've got stuff coming out all the time. Nathan will probably put out his Ask Nathan for you to go in and ask him certain questions of some of the stuff that I didn't get to, like, WTF did I just watch? Things like that. Send that to our community page. You'll see a prompt for that, for questions to ask Nathan, and he'll answer them on the air. Wednesday night, live, 7:30 on Facebook and YouTube, where we will, again, we'll talk about this, and we'll look forward to Tennessee. Appreciate everybody that was here. Great stuff going on in the chat. Awesome conversation. We did have to put somebody in timeout who's trolling just a little bit, but we appreciate everybody. And make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're our subscriber, and that you leave, that you turn your notifications on. We appreciate everybody. The season's not over. They're 7-5. That was a bunch of crap that just happened today. They're 7-5. The season is not over. I understand we're not happy about what just happened, but it's not over. So until we see you again on Wednesday and we can kind of come down from all of this and get ready for the next game. Appreciate everybody was here. And hang on, I've got to kind of bring up my other stuff here. So appreciate everybody's here. And again, until next time, make sure always, forever be a fan.